So Ranić's change of defensive shape did improve Manchester United significantly, and I think this game really highlighted the importance of good ball progressors from deep positions, and I do think we may be seeing the emergence of a fatal flaw in Ranić's philosophy. And I'm going to be using Chelsea against Manchester City as a good example of why I think a back five may be the best defensive shape for a side that wants to sit deep. I think that in both Gerrard and Ranić's system, they do rely on this new modern type of central midfielder, which I'm going to be breaking down further later on in the video. And the way I can describe the perfect player for this type of role is a cross between a winger and a central midfielder, bringing the industrious nature and aggression of a central midfielder, which aids his side in the counter press, but also having the ball carrying ability and ability in the final third to be a significant goal scoring and chance creating threat in possession. But before I get into the analysis, if you want cheap, good quality football jerseys, then go over to primefootballshirts.com. Why pay the extortionate amounts that official jersey sellers are selling football shirts for, when you can get Premier League and European football jerseys from primefootballshirts.com for great quality football shirts that are half the price of the official ones. And primefootballshirts.com also offers free delivery worldwide, which is probably going to save you around $5 to $10. And if you use code SUPER, you'll also get 10% discount at checkout. So click the link in the description, because you would be helping to support the channel as well. So going into this game, Ranić did make a tactical change. Against Aston Villa in the FA Cup around a week ago, we saw United defend in a narrow 4-2-3-1 shape, but in this game Ranić's side were using a 4-5-1 shape, once again with a narrow midfield. The two wide midfielders, Greenwood and Elanga, sat very narrow, in line with the wide central midfielders for Aston Villa, as Gerrard's side sat in a 2-3-2-3 shape whilst in possession. But with United's change of defensive shape, they were able to go man-to-man against Aston Villa, and when Villa would switch the ball wide of Cavani and they would bring the ball out of the defensive third, it was up to either Fred or Bruno Fernandes' job to move out of the midfield line to close down the space and stop the ball being progressed forward. And in the second half, we saw this adapted further, with Fred and Fernandes pushing up in line with Ederson, Cavani, and stopping Villa being able to play out of their defensive third. And this would leave Nemanja Matic as a deepest central midfielder, playing the role of an anchorman. Villa also pressed with a narrow system in a narrow 4-3-3, kind of the passing lane from United's centre-backs to their central midfielders, and this therefore forced United out wide to the fullbacks, and Dalot and Telles became United's main progressors of the ball. And because a lot of sides nowadays seem to be using this high, very narrow defensive shape, the ability of a side's fullbacks to progress the ball via dribbles and passes is becoming more and more important. We see this with Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's producing winger-like output in the final third, and I actually think that David Beckham would have fitted this sort of fullback role, as like Alexander-Arnold, he has tremendous long passing ability in the middle third and crossing ability in the final third, which are the two attributes needed for this type of role. And players like David Beckham and Trent Alexander-Arnold could either play wide on the flank or as an inverted fullback, because they have the technical ability to play in these congested areas and picking the ball up wide of the frontline press, where their long and incisive passes become even more important to the side's ability to break down the deep defensive unit that they're faced against. Both sides' defensive shapes also highlighted the importance of having centre-backs who are good on the ball in terms of their incisive and long passing. I thought Tyrone Mings was relatively good at this throughout the game, and in the second half we saw Courtney House replace Konsa as a right-sided centre-back, but as Mings is also left-footed, what we saw was House receiving the ball on the right side but cutting in on his stronger left foot. Now in the modern age we have become quite familiar with wingers playing on the opposite flank to their stronger foot to allow them to cut inside, giving them more forward passing angles and therefore more ways to progress the ball into the box or have a shot from long range. However, we don't see it done as much in terms of fullbacks and centre-backs. However, if you think about it logically, having a centre-back come inside on his stronger foot is only naturally going to encourage more switches of play, helping your side create one-on-ones on the flanks, isolating the opposition's fullbacks and trying to get your fullback to over or underlap your wide attacker. And with both sides using narrow front threes on occasion, we saw Digne and Cash and Telles and Dalot getting a lot of good crossing positions. Now as I've said, the centre-backs and the fullbacks for each side were very important in terms of progressing the ball forward, but this is just the first objective in possession. You need to then know what to do once you progress the ball into the final third. And this is where we're going to be seeing a new type of central midfielder, and if I had to give it a name, I'd probably call it a wing fielder, as I do think it's a cross between a natural central midfielder and a wide player, having the attacking abilities and ball carrying ability of a winger, but the industrious nature of the ball, aggression and tackling ability of a traditional central midfielder. See, the ability to progress the ball forward is probably the most important asset that a central midfielder can have. I spoke about this in depth when I analysed Barcelona's 5-0 win over Real Madrid in 2010, and from this video you'll learn that I think Andres Iniesta is probably the best ball progressing central midfielder in football history. In this game, Aston Aston Villa relied on Emi Buendia, Jacob Ramsey and Morgan Sanson to do the ball progressing when they had the ball, while for United it really was Bruno Fernandes, Fred Elanga and Greenwood. A player who I would describe as a wing fielder would be John McGinn from Aston Villa, who didn't play in this game, but has a natural dribbling ability and pace of a wide player, but combines this with the tackling ability, aggression, reading of the game, work ethic and pressing ability of a central midfielder. And when you watch McGinn play, you can see why Rangnick's Manchester United have been linked with him. See, while we do see Manchester United press high up the pitch, which does require the wide central midfielders to be very good pressers, pushing up onto the opposition's deeper line players, we also saw United sitting quite deep in their 4-5-1 shape, and this did succeed in stopping Aston Villa being able to play through the lines. But because they were so deep, when they did win the ball back in their own half, they do have to look to transition the attack forward quickly to take advantage of the space in the Villa central midfield, and this is why United need very good ball progressors either side of the deepest central midfielder. Bruno Fernandes is very good at doing this for his long passes, having the best vision and passing accuracy from those deep central positions. However, they could definitely improve upon Fred, and I actually think that Ralph Rangnick should attempt to play Jadon Sancho in this position, as Sancho is very good at leading a counter-attack, driving forward with the ball at his feet and then making the right pass when he gets into the final third, and this central midfield position would maximise his ability to do this. When Manchester United win the ball back in their own half, the quickest and simplest pass forward is a pass forward into those two central midfielders. If they look to play to one of the wide midfielders, they're limited to attacking down that flank until they reach the final third. However, when having those ball carriers in these central positions, the ball can be played into their feet, they can drive forward through the centre of the pitch, giving United a number of different options as they push into the opposition's defensive third. And when United are in the opposition's defensive third, their final third, they need to use individual players' chance creating and goal scoring ability to put away those chances, fully utilising the counter press as an offensive weapon, as there's no point winning the ball high up the pitch if you then don't take those chances. And after what we would call a fluky opening goal in the first half, United's second goal showcased their counter pressing ability. But before I go any further, just a reminder that if you do want great quality football jerseys at a fantastic price, go to primefootballshirts.com. You can check out the different European jerseys they have available, and they've also got free worldwide shipping, which is absolutely fantastic, will save you between $5 and maybe even $10. So use the link in the description to get that limited time discount by using code SUPER at checkout to get 10% off. Dallow's man-to-man pressure was excellent on the right side, allowing United to win the ball back with Fred, and Fred crucially picks a simple pass but the right pass into Bruno Fernandes, and his finish is absolutely phenomenal, hitting the crossbar and bouncing into the net. But as I've said before in previous videos, if a side does decide to sit deep, narrow and compact in their own half, then they do invite pressure, and this is exactly what happened to Manchester United in this game. As the game went on, United were dropping further and further back, with Villa gaining more and more control in terms of possession, and with players like Emi Buendia, Jacob Ramsey and Philippe Coutinho when he came onto the pitch, Villa had the ability to open up Manchester United in their defensive third, and for both of Villa's goals we saw the problem with this. For the first, Fred is beaten well too easy in the one-on-one against Tyrone Mings, who just drifts past him easy, moving the ball past United's midfield line, and from here Coutinho plays an excellent 1-2 into the box, and from here Jacob Ramsey's finish with his left foot is absolutely phenomenal past De Gea, getting Villa back in the game. Now we'll be talking more about what I previously discussed as being the wing fielder in a Patreon video coming up this week, so if you do want to see that exclusive video, click the link in the description. I've already got a video out on how centre backs are changing in the 2020s, and that, like what I've discussed in this video, had a lot to do with ball progression, so you might want to check that video out. It does help support the channel and would be very much appreciated. Now if you have watched my analysis of United's previous few games, you'll know that a consistent theme has been their lack of control in games, and that subsequently allows the opposition side to take control, and that's exactly what Villa did in this game. And United were bound to make individual defensive errors, which they did for Coutinho's goal. Victor Lindelof gets dragged out of the defensive line by Ollie Watkins' movement deep, and Matic should simply just drop back into the back line to fill that space. But here we do see the benefit of defending deep in a back five. If we look at Chelsea's defensive shape against Manchester City, it's vertically and horizontally compact, and the back five allows their individual players to stretch across that line, and with one extra defender in the defensive line, less spaces appear in Chelsea's back line as a result. However, here we see Jacob Ramsey runs off the back of Nemanja Matic. Buendia's forward pass is weighted perfectly, and if United were playing with a back five, first of all that space wouldn't have materialised for Ramsey to make the run into in the first place. But even when we get to this situation, I think Varane's positioning has to be better. He has to read the ball across the 6-yard box. Instead, he seems to be aware of the potential cutback, not fully committing to either, and in the end doesn't succeed at being positioned to cut off either pass. Ramsey's ball across the box is phenomenal, and Coutinho's there to put it into the back of the net, making it 2-2. So overall, whilst moving to the 4-1-4-1 defensive shape did help United substantially in the middle third, with Fred and Bruno Fernandes stopping Villa being able to play those incisive passes into their players dropping in between the lines. Eventually, as the game went on, United's lack of control began to cause issues, and this made United extremely vulnerable. It still feels like the individual players don't really suit this style of play or system. That's why I have got a series looking at the perfect gegenpressing side for Manchester United and which players should be brought in to fulfill that. I think 3 episodes are already out. My starter episode where I explain which Manchester United players from this current squad would fit into that perfect side. And then I have one video on the right back Manchester United sign and one video on the creative central midfielder United should sign. And I will be releasing a video this week looking at the ball winning central midfielder United should sign. Despite the result, there were glimpses of a good performance as we did see United use that counter pressing for the second goal. And I think Elanga's performance in particular was really promising. I want to see what he does in the next few games, as he's come in and already shown a significant impact, making a great claim to be the starter over Rashford and Sancho in that wide attacking midfield position. So let me know what you thought of the game, leave your thoughts in the comment section below, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, click the bell for notifications, click the link in the description to sign up to my Patreon and to check out some of my other videos as well. And for cheap good quality football jerseys, use the link in the description and use code SUPER at checkout to get 10% off. I am planning on doing a video on my Patreon looking at the wing fielder position in a lot more detail, and specifically looking at how I think Jadon Sancho could adapt to this position and what he could offer United from central midfield. But I also think Boubacar could be a good candidate for this role as well, and I will talk about and analyse a few other players in that role as well.